right, welcome to this week's edition of What's on Tap. Gary Monterosa here with Alexis Deegan, Executive Director of the New Jersey Brewers Association. How you doing?
I'm doing really well.
A lot of cool things going on in your organization and in the entire state of New Jersey as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, because brewers are fun people, and so we like to
I
do
love
fun
them.
things. And I say we, I'm not a brewer. I've never brewed. One time, they let me stir some things. And then they said, Alexis, get off the stirrer.
Oh,
Shit, it's like you're done. It's fine.
Well, you know what? Yeah, we hear about the glamour of brewing, but it is a lot of work.
It's
As
so
these
much
guys,
work.
our guests can
It's
attest to.
heavy work. There's a lot of wetness
is.
to it. It's exhausting. I mean, blessed, because I love beer.
Leave it to the people to know what they're doing.
Correct. I will, I'll stand there and go, you're doing a great job.
Right.
You're doing a great job.
Well, this is, I'm happy to have these guests here with us.
Yes.
In a sense, it's bittersweet.
It is.
Because I'm sorry to see this company no longer exist in New Jersey. The company's called Tomfoolery Brewing. And I've loved their beers, and I've also loved, more importantly than that, the friendship that I've established with the company.
Yeah, 'cause they're great people.
They're great people, exactly. So, Sean Grigas, I'm so happy to have you here with us.
Happy to be here.
And a friend of mine, and you people in Vineland, I think, know him. You should know him anyway. This is Ben Battiata. Ben, good to see you here.
Thank you.
And you've assisted Sean for quite a while now, huh?
Yeah, I've been helping out a little bit. Yeah, having fun.
Well, I think you're being modest when you say helping out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I mean, it's
He could do a little more, Gary.
I could.
Well, I understand that. Well, let's
Just kidding.
talk about what you did in Vineland. Tell us about the people who don't know. Maybe there are people who aren't aware, but you did have a company in Vineland.
Yeah. We had a company, Turtlestone Brewing Company. We were a little ahead of the little curve here with all the breweries that have been popping up throughout New Jersey. So we kind of considered kickstarting the process maybe a little bit, and just kind of helping. If anything, at least I could take some credit for that, I guess.
Absolutely, but you were a tremendous brewer.
Yeah,
and
we
still
were
are.
we were out for a few years. It was a lot of fun. It was tons of hard work, especially in an area
You know that?
that wasn't.
Vineland.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Vineland was definitely an unfamiliar territory, so it was.
Why has Vineland not had the best of luck in terms of breweries? And it's continuing to this day. It's not indigenous to the area.
No.
It's just the way things worked out.
It's hard to say. I mean, I think the town is learning to familiarize themselves with the industry. Just getting a lot of, and there are a lot of people that do appreciate craft beer now in the area. So I think that's just growing as well. So that's something that is going to, I think, continue to improve. So eventually, Vinyl will have, I think, a good presence. Maybe a brewery that's going to hopefully be successful enough.
What were the years you were in operation from when to when?
2011 through 13, 14, is when
Okay.
we officially closed out. So
Now, prior to you, there was Blue Collar,
yes, yeah.
which was around the turn of the
Early
century, I guess,
2000s,
like
2001,
2001, somewhere around there,
Yeah.
putting out tremendous beers.
Yeah, and I like their
I brought Michael Jackson to his brewery, as you well know,
Do you remember that?
and Michael loved their beers. He actually wrote about them.
Yeah.
And then you, and now there is, or was, Brinks Jones. I don't know what their status is. I think they're
Yeah,
still
I'm not sure. Yeah.
not haven't been open for about a half a year plus. So it's just been bad luck in Vineland. So the
Yeah.
only brewery in Cumberland County right now is Glasstown.
Glasgow, yeah, and they're doing really well.
He's doing well. Paul Simmons and Jennifer, they're expanding
Yep.
and doing a good job. But
Millville's not that different of a environment.
You know what, it
So
isn't.
they
It
were able
isn't.
to, they
But-
made it work there in Millville. So
talking with the sadness is, again, the closing of Tomfoolery. And let's talk about that, Sean. But you shut down toward the end of December. And let's get down to it, because there have been so many rumors out there. You know that more than anyone does. But is the company defunct? Is it gone? Will we not see Tomfoolery in any fashion again?
It's hard to say. Actually, that hasn't been determined yet, whether the name will carry on. The name in New Jersey, as far as a legal entity in New Jersey, will not.
Right.
We will look at reopening in Pennsylvania possibly, and we're not sure yet if it's going to be under the Tomfoolery brand or another name.
All right, the name is, in fact, just the name.
There's always more than just the name, right? There's marketing and branding.
I understand
so,
that, but in terms of the brewing process, it's still you.
Yes.
And you're looking at the possibility of moving into Pennsylvania?
Correct.
Okay, so I know when you shut down, it was like a rush job. You had to get out of that building in a heartbeat.
Yeah, so, there's always leases, right? When you don't own the building, there's
Sure.
a lease and you're paying rent. And so if there's no more revenue, if we kind of are shutting down operations, you want to kind of vacate the space so the landlord can kind of move on to other tenants.
What'd you do with the equipment?
We've sold some, we still have retained some, looking to sell some, looking to keep some. If we do move forward, it will possibly be a smaller operation to begin with.
Okay.
So, but we've kept some stuff with that in mind.
Okay.
And a number of our equipment actually went to some breweries in New Jersey, and I'm happy to see that actually.
Well, so am I as well, exactly. Okay.
Good to the family.
Yes.
You're living where? Where do you live?
In Hamilton.
So you live in Hamilton, okay. So going to PA would not be the easiest thing in the world. You'd be, I guess, living...
Yeah, I have some family. I grew up in
I know
Pennsylvania.
you have family in
originally,
Pennsylvania.
Right, so I grew
Around
up
the
there.
East- Easton or no?
Around the Easton area.
Yeah.
Easton, Bethlehem, Nazareth is where I grew up. So, so we've been looking anywhere from the Poconos to Philadelphia and in between.
So you're kind of still sorting out regions, areas,
Things are getting
locations?
closer, north around the Easton Bethlehem area and above. So we're narrowing in on some stuff. Yeah.
And I see you glancing over at Ben.
Yeah, I
Is
know.
Ben, is
Waiting
Ben
to
still...
see if he wants to
Tell
chime in.
us all.
Are you still... Would you be involved in this? Because I know you're busy working at the
I
Jersey
do,
Shore
yeah.
area.
So I do work a full-time job, but I try to, and that's where I have a hard time sometimes feeling bad not getting to the brewery as often as I could. But yeah, I do plan to still continue to assist in getting things together, getting, especially the startup process, contributing to the recipes and brewing even, just getting out there when I can. So it's,
Yeah, which would
depending
not be
on
the
where we
easiest
end
thing.
up going, it's obviously going to be a distance just being in Pennsylvania as it is. So.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, we were just talking prior to coming here. I mean, there's just things that are new updates to what we're, looking at. So it's continually changing, what we're considering. So that's why it's still sort of up in the air, of where we're going to be.
Yeah, we're looking at so in Pennsylvania you have a primary manufacturing facility, and then you have up to 3 secondary. They're called storage locations in Philadelphia, in
Okay,
PA, but they are places where you can't manufacture, but you can retail your beer. So they call them storage facilities, but it's kind of a little bit of a misnomer. So we're looking at having a primary manufacturing facility and then a second location.
I'm not fully cognizant of all the laws in PA as I'm more familiar here in Jersey.
Of course,
so
yeah.
right, obviously. So
It's similar to,
Go ahead.
wineries where they're able to
I see.
have their winery. They can, make their wine at the winery, but they're able to actually have, in New Jersey, the laws are a little more, friendly towards the winery industry, so they're able to
That's
actually
right.
have tasting areas, tasting rooms they can sell product out of at multiple locations, and it's sort of similar to what we want to kind of do in Pennsylvania.
how did your relationship with Sean develop? Was it when he was a home brewer back in the day?
It was actually, so I met Sean, I think, for the first time out of his shop when he sold a homebrew shop.
Right in town,
Just
yeah.
stopping in there, I actually picked up recipes when I was trying to put together some of my recipes for my brewery at the time, and even when we first opened and started brewing, when I needed some specialty grains last minute, I was stopping at Sean's on my way home from work to pick up some grains to bring back to the brewery. So, yeah.
So as that continued and the relationship flourished,
Yeah.
did you introduce some of your recipes to what
Yeah,
he was
we,
doing? How did that work out?
Well, pretty much all the recipes that we've worked with were, since I've been there, were already pre-established recipes with Tom Foolery. So
Okay.
I didn't really bring too much in that was different at this point. We
Did you
do
tweak
some-
things in any way or no?
Not so much. I
Not
think
the beer anyway,
Yeah,
but
no, the beers themselves. I mean, we did when we had our last anniversary party. I did introduce some recipes for seltzer recipes to kind of play around with that idea and sort of introduce that to see how that would go over. And it seemed to go over well. It was different, a lot different than what you see out there now with the seltzer, the available seltzers that are out there. So I was trying to be different, like I always am. So that was my attempt there. So those were my recipes in that case. So.
When your company was in existence, when Tom Foolery was what it was, what were flagship flavors that people seemed to like?
IPA, of course, right? So one
Well,
of
there's
our-
a shock.
Yeah, surprising. Yeah. The India Pale Ale, for those who might not know.
Right,
we're
right.
learning,
Yeah.
Our IPA was big. Our Blood Orange Kolsch actually was also a big.
That
seller.
was a nice beer.
So, yeah, we had our straight up Kolsch, but people don't know what a Kolsch is. They're afraid to say it, so we threw some flavors in it. The Blood Orange stood out, so now people they wouldn't have to say Kolsch. They could just say, "Give me the Blood Orange." So people were
okay.
much more comfortable with that.
Interesting. Okay.
Funny, you were asking about how Ben and I met, and what came to my mind was when my parents met Ben, and it was actually at a showing of yours when you were on TV at Caesars.
Yeah.
For the History Channel, yes.
Oh, the
so
party.
My parents
Yes.
remember Ben because that's where my parents met Ben and
No
you. and,
fooling.
yeah, we were all there together. Yeah. So anyway, that just kind of popped into my.
I did not know that, obviously. I have to thank John Henderson for that. He's the one that threw the party.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's very cool. Wow, that's amazing. Unbelievable it is. Yeah, so, all right. I did want to set the record straight because, again, there's so much nonsense out there, and I don't know what the heck to believe and what not to believe, but this is as current as we can get.
Yep, so we're looking at a facility in Pennsylvania, likely a manufacturing, where you can also retail beer, and then a secondary. There are a number of opportunities we have open to us, being what things are, and so we're trying to narrow down exactly what we're going to do, but we do have a very good idea.
Are you able to do much of this via phone/online, or are you actually visiting PA?
I've been traveling a lot.
You have been traveling a lot to do this, right? Okay, what is the first thing? The location?
Location obviously is a big deal, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
So that is one of the biggest pieces, yes.
And we obviously have to have a brewing facility established before
Sure,
we can
that's right.
get the storage facility or the tasting
Secondary,
facility. So, dying down that actual location where we'll be brewing out of is the first step in really getting started over there.
And then there are
obviously
other.
you have to go through the whole process of
No
the
question.
paperwork and all that.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
there's the time and that. So.
And then the locations are a bit different because in Pennsylvania you can have food. You must have some form of food.
But you must.
Yes,
Have
exactly.
some form of
Complete
food.
opposite in
Opposed
Jersey.
to can.
You must have
Must.
some.
You must or you must not in Jersey.
And while it's another business, it's more work, but it also is, everyone eats, right? Everyone eats. Not everybody drinks beer, unfortunately, for us, And it's hard to believe, it's hard to understand.
I don't get
But
that.
these are among the issues, I know we're up against the clock, but these are some of the issues that you deal with here in the state of New
Correct.
Jersey, right?
Yeah, we're losing a fabulous brewery to Pennsylvania
I hate
because
saying that.
the laws are laxer there and more welcoming to what we're trying to do.
I'm uncomfortable for several reasons. Again, primary is because you're friends, okay? And that means more than anything else to me. But secondarily is you crafted good beer. You're making damn good beer.
Yeah.
I'll get bleeped.
Thank you.
Is that a bad word anymore? I don't know.
I don't know, it's hard to tell.
It's hard to tell anymore, but you made good beer, and then the state is going to lose you.
Yeah.
I don't like saying that.
Yeah, I do want to give props to the Brewers of Pennsylvania and former Senator Chuck McElhenney of Pennsylvania, who
Okay.
helped update the laws in Pennsylvania were archaic as well, but the association, the Pennsylvania Brewers of Pennsylvania, along with the legislators, updated the laws. And you said brewing was hard. We said that. I want to say executive directing of an association is hard work too. So you've got work cut out for you, as you well know.
All right, I got to close this out and ask you, what is the best way to keep up with your status? How can we do this?
You can contact us.
Social media or what?
On email or social media. We have
Email
a
is what?
contact@tomfoolerybrewing.com.
Contact@tomfoolerybrewing.com.
Yep, and you can subscribe to our newsletter, and we will
Okay.
update you once we have more details.
We need to do that.
Absolutely.
Ben, pleasure
Thank you very
seeing
much,
you.
Gary.
I don't get to see you often enough, but it's always a
I
pleasure
know,
to me.
I agree.
And Sean, we wish you the best.
As
Trust me,
always,
we
Gary.
do. All right,
Stay
and
in
thanks
touch
for
for sure.
everything you've done for us, okay?
You're welcome, and thank you.
All right,
for
you've been a
everything.
sponsor for us for a long time, too. We appreciate that. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. Alexa will be back with part 2 of this, and we'll
All
see
right.
how kind of Hamilton is
What they're doing next.
moving to the next level.
All right.
Be right back. And we are back with part 2 of What's on Tap. Gary Monterosa here. Yes, I'm dressed differently. I'm in a different location. I have different people seated around me. I'm at the Brass Tap in Vineland, New Jersey for the second part of What's on Tap. Joined to my immediate left with one of my dearest friends in this world, Mr. Mark Haney, who is a beer author. You've written a book called
New Jersey Breweries.
New Jersey Breweries, which probably, pardon me saying this, becomes obsolete within weeks after it's released.
No doubt about that.
Because the industry changes so darn much.
Yes, it does.
But that's an experience writing a book. I have one out.
Yes.
I'll never do it again. Believe me, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
How do you keep up now? How many breweries in the state? Over 100.
115 open now.
Gosh, how many are in transition or in planning stages? Not that
They
they'll
say
open.
about 20 more. So we'll see, I guess, how many come and go.
Does that make it? Because when I wrote, there were few breweries in the state,
Oh,
and it was.
definitely,
Is it easier now or more difficult?
It's more difficult because you have to have the space to print it.
There you go.
And you have to get the information from these people. So, but there are enough that come up with information so that I don't have to do so much anymore. I mean, it kind of a little bit easier.
And writing that column, I had like maybe 750 to 1,000 words or so. So getting all that information in that small...
Yeah, it's still tough. I
It's
mean,
tough.
I give him like 1,500 words to make him edit it down.
Okay.
That's all.
That's an issue also when you edit down.
That's
Sometimes
an issue, yeah,
you know what I'm
sometimes
talking
they-
about.
yeah, I know.
Sometimes it doesn't come out the way you want it, but the way you
No.
worded it.
Well, and you get the breweries saying, "Where'd my thing go?" And I'm
I know.
sorry,
It's out of my
You know,
hands.
it's
You
out
didn't
of
do
my
it.
hands, yes.
Speaking of new breweries,
Okay.
there is a new brewery in Hamilton, New Jersey. And Hamilton is becoming a beverage mecca.
Oh, it certainly is.
Between the wines and the spirits, and certainly the breweries now. We got
Blueberries.
Yes, well, it was Blueberry, with the Blueberry capital.
Yes.
And I guess it still is, but
Yes.
look at all the remarkable breweries now that we have in the state of New Jersey.
Well, last month or last issue in Mid-Atlantic Brew News, I did a special on Hamilton because
Well deserved.
You can walk from one to the other, and that's what they wanted to do, walking tour. And they said that Hamilton is not all about blueberries anymore.
Absolutely. You can walk to the first, from the first to the second, and crawl to the third.
So crawl to the
Right,
third.
exactly. So let us, thank you. Okay. Let us introduce this young man. You are
Cheers.
Hi, I'm Dan. I own Chimney Rustic Ales in Hamilton.
Chimney Rustic Ales in Hamilton is new. You guys opened up, I believe, in December of 2019.
Middle of December, formerly January. We started brewing beer shortly before that, and opened, and we've been selling beer pretty steadily since.
Well, I'll tell you what, things are looking good. I've been there several times, as you well know. The beers are spot on.
Thank you.
You're doing some
We're trying.
really, really good
Very
things.
good
What do you
beers,
think?
yes.
I mean, you get to visit so many
We loved
breweries.
it. We loved it there.
And you've been, it was curious because I think originally I was invited to a media event.
Yeah,
And I
we
saw
weren't.
so
we
many-
weren't officially open.
You weren't
We were,
officially open, but
yeah.
people seemed to know about you, and people were coming in.
Yeah. We
Which is a good sign.
We're right in the downtown of Hamilton, so we were getting a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
Passersby that have been seeing us working there for the last year and a half. And, they saw the lights on, the doors open, and they just started walking in. And, we're not the ones to say no, so why not?
And that's smart
Sure.
business.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
You
Yeah.
don't
I mean-
turn a customer away.
Well, once you get your brewery license, you're legally allowed to sell beer.
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean you have any to sell. We
Right.
happen to crank out a couple pretty quick, and, just sure, come in, have a beer, man.
What I was
You know,
curious
yeah.
about, I mean, immediately when you opened up, you established a relationship with Jim Sacco over at Vinyl.
Jim's a long time friend.
So
of
you
mine,
knew him
so
before?
I worked at Vinyl.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
You did
so-
tell me that.
Yeah, so
great.
I'm a draft tech. Like I used to install draft lines for a living. And
Gotcha.
prior to that, I brewed commercially a couple other places. But even prior to that, I had managed a homebrew store where I taught lessons, and I taught various levels of brewing lessons. I taught like intro, like extract brewing, and then I went to like an all grain brewing thing,
Okay.
which is logical steps for a lot of home brewers.
Sure it
and then
is.
I taught a pro brewer class where we had a miniature version of a commercial brewery setup, and Jim took my class. I think somebody somebody roped him into it because he had definitely had experience prior to that. But when I walked into Jim worked at 3-3s prior. So,
Right.
Yeah.
True.
when I walked into 3-3s, Jim was standing there and was like, "Hey man, try my beer." I'm like, "Okay," So we kept in touch. And then when he was opening his place, he was like, "Hey man, I could really use some help putting the bar together, putting the draft system together. And I was like, I'll do it on one condition. I can work here. And he's like, fair.
That is cool.
Yeah. So I didn't charge him a dime. I just wanted a job.
Beautiful stuff.
So
I'm sorry. Good.
No. We kept that relationship going, and then when I said I was opening a place down the street, he's like, "Oh, great, more great beer in Hamilton." So we're all working together. We're all friends.
That's great.
It's a big
It's a
thing
great
for
place.
us. Yeah.
You remember, we're going back again probably 20 years, that there wasn't the camaraderie that we see now amongst
for sure.
breweries. It was more competitive.
Yeah.
Right.
So we all agree on this, at least in Hamilton, that there's only so many people that drink beer in Hamilton.
Correct.
I mean, a lot of them drink a lot of beer, but we're not going to grow our brands in our taste and grow our tasting rooms unless we're bringing people in from outside of our little downtown area.
Right.
We want to draw people. We want to be a destination for beer, and we have 3 breweries. We're all making great beer.
Right.
It's not going to help us to fight each other. We need to make this a thing.
Sense.
Definitely.
And bring people to our town.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm excited about is that you're now at the point, even after 3 months or so as we record this, to distribute product, and that's what we want to get into.
So we
right now. So
we have the
what are we looking at?
capacity. We have the capacity to make a lot more beer than we can sell in our tasting room. We have a little tiny tasting room and bigger tanks than that.
That's great.
So we're actively pursuing distribution. We have hired an outside sales rep. We're pushing hard to get into bars that suit our brand. We don't want to just throw our beer out in the market. We want to make sure it's the correct choice for us.
Sure.
And I think that's important because we make enough beer, but we're still relatively small.
Right.
If we sell a beer to a place that's got a few taps on, but their main sales are your InBev products, your Miller Coors products, and our keg sits and it's not selling, and then we end up having to buy it back for whatever reason. That's not helping anyone. I would hope that would never happen.
And that is one thing you had mentioned to me that before you get, and Mark, this, correct me if I'm wrong, this makes sense, but you do want to explore the market. You want your beer in the right locations.
Right.
Sure.
So it'll move.
I mean, you have places like Lucky Bones and Passion Vines in South Jersey, that not far from you that sell great beer.
Yeah.
I mean, they have,
Rocco's across our
just-
parking lot sells our kegs like hotcakes,
Well,
man.
that's
like
cool.
They're just
That's-
flying out the door. You can literally walk across the parking lot and buy it in our tasting room, and they're still selling our
and they're
kegs.
still selling. That's great.
And it's great for us. It's great for them.
Well, you can't sell food, so
Yeah, but
but-
besides that, it's just great to have the whole community
Sure.
on board with what we're trying
Definitely,
to do.
yeah.
Because they all kind of get that we're all in this together.
What were you doing prior to making this bold move?
I sold industrial supplies for a long time. I was a manager in an industrial supply company. But prior to that, I brewed beer at Tonewood. I built Tonewood.
Okay.
That was my full-time
Nice.
job, was construction at Tonewood.
Nice.
And then we brewed. I tended the bar there. Prior to that, I helped with some other breweries here and there, brewing and helping out in the tasting
And what was
room.
the aha moment that said, this is what I want to do? I want to own
Oh,
a
that was
business.
long before Tonewood. That was I don't know. So sometime around the time I graduated college, which now looking back on it was over a decade ago.
Breaking my heart.
I know. You guys.
don't even
I know.
talk about it.
I know you guys aren't a day over 29, but it's been a minute.
You heard that.
You're 29, have been for many years now. But outside of being like a professional mattress tester on a beach somewhere, this was the least objectionable job
Yeah,
I could
right.
find. I could do that. I knew I didn't want to do the 9 to 5. I definitely didn't want to sit in an office and do whatever those people do.
Understand
Definitely
that.
not my thing. Owning a brewery, there's a fair amount of paperwork.
Right.
I also get to work with my hands. I get to be creative a little bit, and I get to drink beer. So
This is a very friendly brewery to go to
Oh, it is.
also.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's
the people
fun.
that you have working
It's
there,
fun.
yourself and all the other people there,
We
are
try.
so hospitable.
We,
you really
we,
are.
We've actually
Make
been
people
working
feel
on that.
home.
We've been trying to make it a little more hostile when you come in.
I mean, we went there on their opening weekend, and we met a couple. He's just retiring from the Army, young couple, and my God, they were just so fun to talk to. I mean, everywhere you go, you meet great people
Yeah.
at these places.
And I think our setting is very warm and inviting.
definitely.
People
It is.
People feel comfortable.
You got the brick and
Yeah.
the, and
It
the
is.
wood
Yeah,
up
just
on the
invites
walls.
you.
It's
it's
amazing.
Just hang out, man. Drink a beer. You know,
Exactly.
it's no pressure.
I mean, if you had a roaring fireplace, it'd be a
That
killer.
that was a source of contention
Yeah.
for my father. by the way. You know, we named our brewery Chimney. And
Okay,
we don't
right.
have a chimney. Well, technically, there's a chimney in the bathroom.
Right, yeah, that's right,
If
yeah.
you look in the back corner, there's a square shape that was
Okay.
a chimney at one point. And we tried really hard to get a
Right.
chimney in there, and it was just not feasible.
Right.
Without some kid falling into
Crazy,
it or something.
yeah,
Like
sure,
it was really, really difficult for us to find a place where we could put it that wasn't dangerous.
Right.
So
Like,
we
just like
compromised on that for now.
So
Right.
people are going to say, all right, chimney rustic ales.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're going to exclude lagers?
Oh no, we have lagers.
I know you do.
Yeah.
That was that was literally the first beer we brewed
right.
because I don't care.
And they're pretty, and they were really good.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
so you can't beat that for a small brewery. to
We
make a
went
lager,
chimney
right?
rust.
Tough.
We went chimney rustic ales, and we were like, "Well, I'd really love to have this beer on, but it's a lager. Let's brew it." It's a name. We're trying to convey an image of like what we brew mostly, what our core products are.
And that makes
but
sense.
we're gonna reach out. We're gonna do other fun stuff.
Now, how about the recipes? Who develops the recipes? You?
That'd be me. Yeah,
Really? Is
yeah.
that
I mean, for the most part, so I have a brewer, Nick. He couldn't be with us today. He's at another
Well,
event right
there's
now.
so many events going on as
yeah.
we speak this evening.
Yeah, there are. So there's several, but so him and I, I work mostly the hot side. He works mostly the cellar side.
Right.
But we definitely intermingle there.
Uh-huh.
And when we come up with recipes, we think logically about flavor profiles we want, and then figure out how to do it. And when I was home brewing and running that homebrew shop, I brewed 5 times a week. I kind of figured a lot out about what tastes like what because I brewed so much. So he'll be like, "Hey, I have this idea for this. Okay, let's put this, and this in it. And it'll taste like this." And we kind of bounce ideas back and forth.
Okay.
Most of the ideas are just based on it's a lot like cooking. We want it. Oh, I'd love to have a beer that tastes like this. Okay, what can we mix together to come up with that
Right.
concoction?
Wow.
So it's
That's cool.
it's really not. It's not. A lot of people put a lot of stock in recipes. The recipes are kind of a means to an end. The process by which you brew them is, I think, far more important. But it's like cooking. You could a little pinch of this, a little pinch of
Well,
that.
it
Right,
is.
yeah.
It is. And I've
Yeah,
always
so-
equated these guys, brewers,
Right.
to chefs.
Yeah,
They're
definitely.
They're very,
Oh, yeah.
very creative.
They're
Similar.
culinary artistes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I don't even know if I'd go with that. Even artistic chefs, they're doing things based on factual things
Right.
Yeah.
about what
Yeah.
they're tasting. It's a little bit of art because you have to come up with the idea, but to execute it is based on science.
Right, sure. Sure.
So that's
In the
true.
short time you've been open,
Yeah.
3 months they've been open, has a flagship emerged?
so we have our Grizz, which is our farmhouse grisette.
That was one of the first beers I
love
fell in
that.
love
That was
with.
literally so we brewed the lager and we brewed the Grizz immediately, and Grizz is
Grisette, speak on that. What is that?
it's a farmhouse saison style. It's a grisette, technically. So farmhouse is kind of a misleading name because grisettes were technically brewed for minors, but they're a lower alcohol saison style from Belgium and France that we really enjoy. And ours has our house yeast that we blended together has a very lemon overtone, so we played that up with a lot of lemongrass in it. So it's we dry hopped with lemongrass essentially, and it's light, but it's got a ton of flavor. It's a little
It's
citrusy.
great. I loved it.
That is a
yeah,
great
I
beer.
loved it.
Yeah, so that
Because there aren't many places that make a grisette.
there aren't,
Exactly.
and ours is nice and dry but flavorful.
Remarkable beer.
It's really doing well for us, and we love that beer. We knew going into it that was going to be one of our
You
flagships.
guys and gals got to check that out. Now, how can we find you online?
ChimneyRusticales.com.
ChimneyRusticales.com.
At Chimney Beer on Instagram.
Definitely social
Yeah.
media.
Yeah, social media. We're all over that.
That'll do it.
Yeah, most of our special releases, we do special releases. We have some crazy stuff coming up. I don't want to spoil anything. I don't know
That's
if I can
okay.
say.
That's
But
okay.
we're gonna be releasing those things, and we're gonna be announcing them probably the day before on social media. we got a lot of fun stuff coming up. So
I would say visit the brewery, and if
Yes.
you're going to a place that doesn't have their beer, for goodness sakes, ask for it.
Yeah, definitely.
I endorse it. Mark, you endorse their beers?
You bet.
Good stuff. I'll tell you what. Good
Great
stuff.
place.
We are from the Brass Tap in Vinyl, New Jersey. Gary Monrosa here with Mr. Mark Haney
Thank you.
and Mr.
Dan Borelli.
Disco Dan Borelli.
All right.
From Chimney Rustic Ales. Thanks for joining us here on What's on Tap.